Now, tens of thousands of Australians are reported missing each year, and although most are found, many haven't been seen since. For every person who goes missing, at least 12 people are directly impacted. The loss causing traumatic and sometimes unmanageable grief for family members.
Well, today the National Missing Persons Week begins, aiming to raise awareness and provide support for families. For more, we're joined in the studio by Lili Greer, who is the daughter of missing Queensland woman Tina Greer, and internationally renowned missing persons expert Dr Sarah Wayland. Good morning to you both. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Lili, if I can begin with you. You were 13 when your mum went missing. What is it like not knowing?
The easiest way to describe it is a never-ending type of hell, to be honest, and it's that type of grief that you can never fully process, and it can't be resolved until that person is found.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, there are a lot of families who are like Lili as well. They just, what's it like living in limbo? Is that the right way to sort of describe?
I think what we know from the statistics is there's about 3,000 families of long-term missing people in Australia, and in terms of talking to them about their experiences, it's very much a sense of being frozen in time, frozen to the time that the person went missing. And with traditional types of loss, you know, when we know that the terrible thing has definitely happened, there is a sense of being able to live with that and accept that loss. Yeah. But when the person remains missing, there's no markers that tell us, yes, this is final.
There's no closure.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's living between both the person being alive and dead at the same time.
And so, Lili, with that in mind, you nodded then when Sarah said that that's how you feel. You go back to that moment in time. How have you grown since then? How have you dealt with growing up and living a life?
It's very difficult, and obviously the beginning stages are when people need the most support, but as Sarah said, it's that being frozen in time, so you never really can move on from it. And I suppose growing up you have more agency and more power over trying to achieve justice, and obviously my main goal would be to find my mum.
Have you been able to speak to other people, of course, who've had, you know, their loved ones missing for a long time as well? What is it that you share with each other?
Because it's such an isolating experience, it is so important that you find people in the missing persons community to latch onto, because there's not too much education or awareness about the topic. So because this community is quite small, you really just latch onto each other and it's support, really.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, Lili, your main aim is still to find your mum. What have you done to get towards that outcome, and what are you doing now? How does it work in your life?
Like most families, it's the family member's job of a missing person to kind of advocate and draw attention to that and show the kind of injustices that they may be facing. So that's kind of my main job, and advocating for my mum and making sure that she is found.
Sarah, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, whenever we do see the headline, this person has gone missing, and for the first few days, that headline stays in our minds, and then that story, that person fades, but it doesn't fade for the families who are left behind as well. What's the procedure for the families in terms of trying to find, you know, the missing member?
Look, I think Lili touched on that practical and emotional intersection. You do everything that you can to locate the person, but you're also living with that grief and anxiety and stress. Anyone who's got little kids knows what that moment in time is like when you misplace them at a supermarket and then you locate them. But families live with that for long periods of time. So it's that real teasing journey of the practical and the emotional, but also managing agencies most families have never engaged with before, dealing with the police, dealing with coronial services, dealing with the media, and having to almost be your own PR agency to bring attention.
Which so many people don't have those skills,
exactly.
and it's no fault of their own, because who wants to be in that position? As we mentioned at the introduction, it is Missing Persons Week. Sarah, you're launching some world-first support mechanisms, a masterclass for what is being called the Ambiguous Loss Masterclass, and it encapsulates it perfectly, doesn't it? Ambiguous loss. I hadn't heard that term before. What is this masterclass, and what does it hope to achieve?
Look, I've been working in the missing person space for 20 years next year. And I've been saying a lot of the same things to a lot of the same people for a lot of the time. But it's really about distilling that information and putting it in an accessible format in the Ambiguous Loss 101 Masterclass so that people in the community have a better understanding of ambiguous loss even existing for people. But also being able to train up police, search and rescue agencies, the media, families of missing people themselves about their own lived experience, but making sure that, you know, as an academic, we often put our work behind a paywall in journals or at conferences. It's about taking that knowledge and translating it for the community at no charge.
So if anyone wants to get onto that masterclass, how do they do that? There's a website, obviously.
There is. Yeah. So mist.org.au, and it's been wonderful to collaborate for myself from the University of New England with the MIST Foundation to get this information out there, because knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the very best for the rollout of that, Sarah. And Lili, we wish you all the very best in your attempts to find your mum.
Thank you.